Welcome to the What to Read Next podcast. This podcast is hosted by Laura Amin, a voracious reader of romance and young adult novels. In this podcast, Laura interviews fellow readers and authors and asks them for book recommendations of what we should read next. We hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the What to Read Next podcast. So happy to have you back. Today our guest is Christina Stephanie from Christina Stephanie Reads Instagram account, and we're chatting all things fiction books. Now let's get to the show. Hi, Christina. Welcome to What to Read Next podcast. So happy to have you here.
Hi, thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So excited. So tell us who you are.
My name is Christina, and I live in Toronto. And my Bookstagram account is at Christina Stephanie Reads.
I love it. I've been following you for some time. I love your book recommendations, so I can't wait to get to them here.
Oh, thank you. I like yours too.
We have similar reading tastes, which is exciting.
Yes, exactly.
So let's talk about Bookstagram. You're involved in the community. So what has been some of your biggest takeaway from being involved in the Bookstagram community?
So I started my account in January, and prior to that, I used to follow a few Bookstagrammers on my personal account for a few years. Mm-hmm. And I always loved reading their reviews and seeing what books they were posting or what was coming out soon. So I thought to myself, maybe I can start one and see kind of where it goes. So I did, and I'm so happy I did because the community has been so welcoming. It's probably like the best corner of the internet, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Everyone is engaging, and so I don't know. I just find that I learn from so many people, and not only what they post in terms of their book reviews, but even just their perspective on certain things, like whether it's just like anything. And it's just something that has really been eye-opening for me, and I know for a lot of others. So it's just great. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just been a really positive experience, and I can't believe it's been almost a year.
I love it. And it's been awesome. It's been awesome to witness your journey.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where you meet people and, you know, you just kind of get to know them for who they are as opposed to what they read, which has been really rewarding.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So talk to us a big book body read. What inspired to get started?
So I posted a picture, I think in April, of a book, like a bunch of big books that I bought. And I posted them, and then Angela posted and said, Angela Reed, sorry. So she posted a comment about her owning a few of them. So then that evening we started chatting about it, and we were just saying that we should start a buddy read because a lot of people get, you know, nervous about large books and they get intimidated because it might take them a while to read. So we thought maybe we could start something like a buddy read, and if people wanted to kind of get together and we could read it in sections and then have like DM messages, so in our private messages. And so we started with the Hearts Invisible series by John Boyne, and we've had 8 books since then. So it's been really positive, and I don't always, you know, I don't always enjoy all the books that we read, but that's okay because that's just a part of the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's part of the process. That's what you kind of like cover as you read the book, whether it's actually a book that you want to read or not. You just realize you can DNF them too, but it's kind of cool to witness that process.
Exactly.
So what book are you reading for December?
We are reading 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Morty. I'm going to try her last name. We figured we were going to read another book, but the last couple of books that we've read have been a lot, maybe not so much this month, but the couple months prior to that have been more heavier books. So we kind of wanted something that maybe was lighter for December. And I really like her. I've read quite a few of her books. So we both just got it. And so we decided to read that.
I love it. And how can we join you?
So about like mid-month, the month prior before we start, so about a week ago, both of us posted on the same day a picture of the book that we were going to read. And then either people can comment that they want to read along or post a picture and use the hashtag Big Book Buddy Read, and then they will be added to our group. It's
I
as
love
simple as that.
it. Love it. Let's talk about your reading life. So when do you read?
Um, Not enough. I wish I had, I know I'm sure this is everyone's answer, but I wish I could just read and that's all I did. But unfortunately, that's not possible. So I tend to read at night.
Okay.
So I will read my e-reader in bed, and I go to bed pretty late and I'll just read, and I try to also read in the morning.
Oh.
And then weekends are really a time for me to get my reading done.
Yeah, weekends for me, I can read a book, which is kind of exciting, or two books.
Exactly.
Yeah, those are you have long time. You got a chunk of time. You're like, I can power through. But I hear you. Not reading enough. Wanting to read more is, I think, is a common pearl of a reader.
For sure.
So, what do you love most about reading?
I just love being able to learn, and not only just really the experience of learning about different cultures or experiences, and going on that journey with the characters really makes me, I don't know, it's just one of those things that it's like my way to escape everything. I've always loved reading. I mean, I used to do my own little library at home when I was a kid, and I would lend out my books to my neighbors and stuff. So it was always something that I was very into. So it just kind of, and as I grew as a reader, I started, reading books that were outside of my regular genres, and it really just helped me, I think just helped me like learn and be able to understand different things as a reader. So, which is always good. I mean, you always want to be able to, I think you always want to be able to learn and enjoy, of course. And when you can find a book that does both of those for you, the best experience.
Yes. So let's talk about your reading. How do you choose your next read? Do you keep a TBR, or are you a mood reader?
No, I'm definitely a mood reader. And for those that do follow me, they'll find that I get into reading slumps pretty bad and like hard. I can sometimes not even read a book in a month, which is painful. And I tend to start a few books before I decide what book I'm going to go forward with, just because it depends on my mood. And it's not necessarily that I don't like a certain book. It's just more, it's not the time for me to read it. And I'm kind of comfortable with that. And that's kind of been the way I've always been. And I can't really set a TBR for myself, because if I do, I just waver from it all the time. So I'm definitely a mood reader.
Yeah, I'm a mood reader too. I tend to read. I have a lot of arcs to backlog to read, so I tend to pick on those and then just see what I feel like. So maybe I need a palate cleanser, maybe I need a thriller, maybe I need a little one, or maybe I heard a recommendation and it seems like a good recommendation to pick up. So, but there have been books that are great books that I just haven't, that I just have a shiny object syndrome that I'm like, oh, there's a new book, and I'm gonna just put some books down that I want to pick up later on. But I hear
exactly,
you.
Yeah.
The mood reader, for sure. So, do you keep tracks of the books you read? And if so, how?
Do I keep tabs of what I read?
Do you keep track of the books that you read?
Yeah. So I've actually, I do. I have a Goodreads account where I do keep track. And this year has been really much more focused on it since I started my Bookstagram, because I've had a Goodreads account with my personal email for a few years. I also do the 50 book pledge, where I just like it because it's similar to Goodreads, but you can see all, year over year, kind of how you've been doing in the one-stop shop. And then I've been using my Instagram to kind of keep track of it, the way I track my my reviews, and the way I start my reviews usually is consistent, so I can kind of keep track of them. Yeah, so I think I'm just referring back to when I was younger. I used to keep track of my Sweet Valley High books that I would read, and I would put pen to paper. So I would list all the numbers of the books, and as I read them, I would put the title beside them. So it's just kind of something that I've always done and enjoyed doing, because it's nice to see how many books you've read or how many pages you've read. So that's how I keep track.
Yeah, I love it. Can you talk about the 50 book pledge? What is that?
So that's a website similar to Goodreads, and then you just enter in your book, and then it comes up on a shelf of like read books, and then you kind of pledge for the year how many you're going to read. So very similar to Goodreads.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah,
something new I'm learning.
And it shows you how many people met their goal or whatever. It's the same stats, but it's just a different site.
Okay, that's awesome. So let's talk about your books. So what's your favorite genre?
My favorite genre, I like contemporary fiction. I also like literary fiction and thrillers. And I also can read like romance. I tend to read romance too as well. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. Those are probably my main ones. I've always wanted to get into mysteries, though. I just haven't found something that has really grabbed me. But I'm always looking for a good mystery recommendation. So, yeah. And I love recommendations, by the way. I love reading books that have been recommended or have been, well received by another reader that I tend to kind of like their style of choices of books. So it's always something that I'm into.
I love it. All right, so let's talk about books. So what are your top 3 favorite books of all time?
That's like the hardest question ever. And I know it's hard for everyone. I have a few. I have 5 that have really stuck with me over the years.
Okay.
So one of them is definitely A Prayer for Owen Meany. So that's by John Irving.
Okay.
That's the book I've read. I read in high school originally, and it kind of has always stayed with me. We did like a whole semester on it, so it was very detailed and just something that I've always remembered and kept in mind. Another book I really enjoyed is She's Come Undone by Wally Lamb. So that's another book that I studied in high school. Sophie's World, I don't know. It's kind of the book, and I've written a post about this before. It's kind of the book that first got me into philosophy, which is what my major was in school. So it was kind of a interesting book, which I highly recommend. I also like The Color Purple by Alice Walker. Again, another book that when I read it, it really just stayed with me forever. And yeah, I mean, there's been so many books that I've read and kind of always go back to, but those are probably my top ones. And then there's, one last one, Fall on Your Knees by Anne Marie MacDonald. So she's a Canadian author. And that's another book that I always still remember. And I love talking about it because when people say, oh, I've read that too, it kind of makes me really happy because I'm like, yay, someone read, a book that is really, really means a lot to me. So yeah, those are 5. Sorry.
That's great. You can have what you want. They're favorite books. You can have 10, you can have 5, you can have 3. There's not a question about it. So who are your go-to authors? Which authors are your auto buy?
Probably like one of them that I absolutely love, and it's just been in recent years, is Taylor Jenkins Reid. My first book I read by her was One True Love, and honestly, it was like all the tears. It was so good. And I recommend that for people that are just trying to first get into her. I always recommend that one, or Evelyn Hugo too is one that I think I read like in a day. So she's probably one of the ones that's my go-to.
Yep. I love it. Yeah, Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of my go-to authors, Tara.
I know.
I read One True Love first, and then I read Maybe Another Life, and it was great.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I really love
both great books.
The books are so different from each other, That's a great. It's like it stands alone for each one of them.
Exactly.
So, favorite books that you read in 2018 so far?
Pachinko. We did that for one of our big book buddy reads. I absolutely loved it. I learned so much, which again is one of my favorite things about reading. And All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. Again, like all the tears. It was so good. So good. Both of those books I will be recommending for a long time.
I love it. Yeah, I just put Pachinko down. I read the first part a few weeks ago, and then I got object syndrome. But a friend of mine is reading it, and so she's been showing me the plot lines, and I'm like, it looks so good. So I think for December, I have some time off. I'm just going to dedicate a couple of days to read Pachinko.
Perfect. Yes, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. So what's your most anticipated new release for 2018 or 2019 that you're looking forward?
Probably Daisy Jones and the Six. Jenkins Reid. I'm really looking forward to it. I think there's like so many books actually that I'm really looking forward to, but that's one that I've seen a lot on Bookstagram, and obviously because I enjoy her, that's probably one of my most anticipated ones.
Yeah, I got to read it, and it's a really good book. It's like a Rolling Stone.
Yeah, see? Good. Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's a good book.
It reminds me, I don't know, because I obviously haven't read it, and I don't know a lot about it, but it reminds me like it may be like sort of like Almost Famous, the movie. Yeah. Maybe not, but it just kind of gives me that vibe, and I love that movie, so...
Yeah, it's that vibe. It's like a really good Rolling Stone magazine that you're watching. Yeah, hold the rise and fall of this band.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, I can't wait.
It's a really good book. So, what's one book that everyone loves but you cannot stand?
Oh boy, I'm not. And I hope I don't get in trouble, but I'm not into classics that much. And I can't really specify a particular book where everyone loves and I haven't, because I haven't really taken a chance on a classic. I mean, I think that they're obviously, for when they were written, they were, a lot of the books, like Little Women and those types of books have meant a lot, and I know so many people enjoy them, and I probably need to give one of them a chance. And I've actually had a few conversations with fellow bookstagrammers about what I should try first to kind of wean myself into the genre of classics. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm just kind of thinking about what I can start, because I'm sure I will like something. I just haven't given it a fair shot because I know so many people that have, and I think it's something that I need to do, because it's not my comfortable genre or type of book, but I think it's something that is important.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, not that great of an answer. I don't really have a specific book. I tend to, and I'm a big believer of, if a book's not necessarily for you, doesn't mean someone else will love it. So I don't ever kind of exit off my recommendation list. There's a few friends of mine that I talk books all the time, and I will tell them a book that I wasn't that keen on for whatever reason, and they've read it and had a different perspective. And that's, again, the beauty of reading and sharing your reading experience with others. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for classics, if you haven't read Jane Austen, I think that's like a good sort of feel. Like like women's fiction, Pride and Prejudice. You probably have read a few Pride and Prejudice.
It's really funny because I own all of those. So I own the books, but I just haven't actually read them. So yes, thank you for those, because I've gotten those a few times.
Yeah, I like Emma the best. That's actually for me. That's the best. Is Clueless is a retelling of Emma. So if you want to get
that's
yeah. So that's a retelling. So it's a fun book to read. Pride and Prejudice. Bridget Jones' Sister is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. So so it gives you kind of like a feeling of what it looks like.
Perfect.
Yeah. And if you like thrillers, then this was mentioned. I have not read it, but this was mentioned in last week's podcast. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. It's a 1930s thriller.
Yeah.
So that's actually, I've seen it quite a few times on Bookstagram. So
Yeah, so have I.
There's a couple of retellings, but if you like a thriller, that's a classic. That's a thriller.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So for a book to movie adaptation or for a movie adaptation that you enjoy.
So I think this is a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I almost always watch the movie before I read the book.
Mm-hmm.
For me, if I like the movie, then I know I will absolutely love the book. So I'm okay with spoilers too. I don't mind finding out what a book is about before I read it. So 2 books that I think I just loved, both the movie and the book, were The Beach by Alex Garland. So that's the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that the movie was so well done in comparison to the book, and both of them were great. And I watched the movie. I try to watch it like every year. And also Roots by Alex Haley. So that was a mini series done like the original. I remember watching it and it was just incredible. And the book, and I had to pick up the book after. So both of those are probably the best in my opinion.
I love it. What's your go-to book recommendation?
Probably A Prayer for Owen Meany. It's again, like, just because I spend so much time dissecting it in school, and we spent like a whole semester on it. It's just something that I recommend. That one is actually loosely based on the movie Simon Birch. So it's I don't know, it's just a very good, well-written book, and the story, and it's just something that I do recommend quite often.
That book has been mentioned before, and so I've been meaning to pick it up. It's like, it's a book to pick up, next year.
Yeah.
So tell us where we can find you online.
So my Instagram handle is at Christina Stephanie Reed. And yeah, I mean, and then of course, if you want to read along with Angela and I for our Big Book Buddy Read, you can follow the hashtag or just message us and join any month that we read. If you want to join in with the book, it's always great. I mean, it's funny, we started with, 1 or 2 groups, and now I think one of the books we had like 4 group chats going on, because there's a limited amount of people that can come into the group chat. So it's so much fun, and it's just fun to talk about, what you're reading or what you're reading outside of the buddy read. So we met a lot of great people in the last 8 months, which has been awesome.
I love it. Thank you so much for being in the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to do this. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Christina, for a great list of book recommendations. For a detailed list of books mentioned in this podcast, please visit whattoreadnextblog.com/83. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider leaving a review on iTunes. This will help get the podcast get discovered by new audiences. For the month of December, I'm giving away hardback new release to one lucky winner as a thank you for leaving a review on iTunes. This giveaway is open internationally. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you soon.